Okay, this is where we left off. We made a few expressions for our character. We made her smile, we made her shocked, and then we made her cry. So the last two expressions that we're going to go over with this particular character is an angry expression and finally laughing expression. And then we can move on to our second example, which was the businessman. And in that example, we're going to use a different technique. So let's come to where it ends. Just right here, we need to obviously expand our timeline. First, let's start with the head. After she stops crying, we want her to, not move as much because she's going to be upset. So around here, like half a second in, we're going to make sure her head is at 0. We can make a keyframe just to be sure. And then here we want her to do a similar head movement as we did for the shocked expression where she brought her head down and then suddenly up. So we're going to move her head down 6 degrees and then suddenly bring it back to maybe -6. Finally back to 0. So she's going to be normal. Then she's going to come down and do that. And she's going to be angry for, I guess, until 16 seconds. So let's close the timeline here. And then we can just leave it be. If you want, you can make her head rock back and forth, which you could just add the positive and negative degrees. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep her still like this. Okay, so here we want her to stop crying. So we're going to select both of these tier ones, hit T, and then we're going to make them 100 at 12 seconds because that's the end of our crying animation. And then we want it to turn to 0 because we don't want him to be there anymore. Easy ease those keyframes, and then she's no longer going to cry. I believe she was crying here. Yeah, she's crying here, but then she stops crying there. We can also Control-Shift-D on both of these layers and delete the excess. And then select both, press M. Okay, on the other ones, we also have the closed eye situation. We need to select both of those. And we want to match it with the eyes. We also have a symbol here, which I think, okay, it was the 3 lines. We want to remove that too. So hit T on symbol. And just leave it to be 0 degrees. Control-Shift-D. Let's cut the rest. Close that up. For the closed eyes, around here, like maybe half a second, maybe that's 11 seconds. At 11 seconds, we're going to hit T, make a keyframe, and then we're going to make it to 0. So it just disappears. And just like we did with when we wanted her to cry, we're going to open up the eye layers. Between the 2 keyframes, we're going to get our blinks. So blink left and blink right. Hit P, and if you remembered, we brought them to cover the eyes. Now we don't want them to cover the eyes anymore, so we're going to make a keyframe. Make sure you select both, so 2 keyframes at the same time. Move in around here, and just simply, let me get my move tool. Simply just move them out of the eyes. And then we get to reposition the keyframes. So as soon as those closed eyes are gone, her eyes are there. And then we just need to redo the keyframes a bit. So we could still see the closed eye. Okay, so we need these guys to disappear faster. Bring in the second sets for the closed eyes. Just bring them in closer. There we are. That's better. Okay, so she has her eyes open again. The tears are gone because she's no longer crying. And we can go ahead and get rid of the transform property. So hit U on closed eyes. And we could actually just pre-compose the closed eyes because we don't need them anymore. So select all of them. Also the symbol or the shocked thing. We're going to bring in another symbol. Right click, call this crying. Okay, so this is out the way and she's still crying. These stuff are still there. Just make sure you link this to head. So it's still with the eyes, with the head, it's moving with the head. And I'm just going to move it a bit to the side. We're dealing with the composition, the pre-com itself, so we're not changing anything with the animations we made for the crying. You can see at this point her closed eyes disappear and she opens her eyes. Okay, so the blinkings are there. We're going to leave those be. And we need to make her blink continuously. Let's go back. Let me zoom out of my timeline. We're going to copy the first set of keyframes, come in maybe around 13 seconds. Control C these ones, Control V to paste them here. Do the same thing with the blink right. Make sure you're on the same time because eyes need to blink together. So she's back, she's still blinking, and she's moving her head. And now that we have a blinking going on, we could actually continue the blinking to 20 seconds because we're going to make her smile afterwards. So we can just do this in advance, make a few spaces, copy these, then make sure you're on the same spot. And there we are. We can offset a few things. Make sure you align your time indicator together with the keyframes. Remember that the eyes need to move together. And we could just maybe move these last two like that. Just offset them so they're different from the previous blinking sessions. So let's have a look. Here she's blinking like that. And here it's a bit slow. And there we are. So our animation should finish around 20 seconds. Okay, we're done with the blinking. Let's hit U and close the properties. Now with angry faces, it's mostly about the eyebrows because her eye shape is not going to change. That's for the other example. So around 12 seconds, she stops crying. And here she's moving her head back. And around here, maybe when her head is down, we're going to make the eyebrows turn in and make her look angry. So select both of the eyebrow, left and right, and then we're going to hit R on our keyboard, come down, make a keyframe, and around 14 seconds, we may change that later. We're going to give the opposite, so let's click away first, hit eyebrow left, and we're going to turn it in -20. Then for the other one, we're going to give it +20 because they're the exact opposite. We can F9 all of these keyframes, get the speed graph. Make sure you're on speed graph, right click. And then we want to zoom in on the keyframes, which is this little ball shape thing. Select both, and we're just going to, we may have to zoom in. Select them one by one. It's kind of hard to see. Click away, and hopefully we can get the other one. There we are. Got the other one, and now she has like a sudden angry face. She's suddenly angry now, and we're gonna keep her angry. And she's just upset. And it may be around 15 seconds we can make her kind of show her teeth. That's optional. Could help with the angry expression. Let's select both of these keyframes, hit U to close the properties. And then go on mouth again, and we're still going to use this path option. So make a keyframe around here so she keeps the current mouth. And then around like a few frames forward, we're going to get our pen tool. Zoom in quite a bit so you can see what you're doing. Get your pen tool and simply create a point, delete it so you can access the points separately. And to make an angry face, we may have to do kind of a rectangular mouth shape. Let me get the right one. To get our vertex tool later. So something like this. It's kind of like a bended rectangle. Get your convert vertex tool and just click this one so we get a sharp line. Try to make them equal. Do that. So her mouth is going to go from this into this. She's upset. And I'm going to just zoom out so we can have a look at it from afar. Let's come back, play that back, and she's suddenly going to be upset. So once we zoom out, we can see that her mouth is a little too small for this angry expression. So I'm just going to go a few frames forward, zoom in again, and we need to perhaps make her mouth a little larger. So just stretch each side so we get a bigger mouth. Do that. We can even curve the middle, which we will have to. So get the convert vertex point, click it until you see these two handles. Those indicate a curve. Remember that. And we're just going to create that rectangular shape that we mentioned. Okay, we can see that's not looking good on this side. Let's clean it up. On this side too. Bring the ends closer when it reaches on either side. And just look at her face from afar. It really helps with making the expression. So now with the eyebrows, she's upset. We can delete the previous keyframe. We don't need that. Just need this one and this. I will, however, convert the edges. I'm not happy with the way they look. I want it to be curved. You can keep yours to be sharp. I'm going to curve mine, and I think that just looks a lot more natural. Okay. She's upset. Okay, so this is the previous keyframe. Make sure you delete that. Bring this closer. And now she has an angry face. Okay, so we had another symbol that we wanted to add, which I'm just going to grab from the business layer. It's called angry, this symbol. We're just going to bring it on top of mouth. So you can see it's pretty popular in cartoon drawings. So I'm just going to bring it around here where she starts to get upset and shows her teeth. Maybe a few frames after. Then we're going to hit T on our keyboard. Actually S, not T. Make it 0%. Turn on the keyframe and then make it not 100 to an appropriate size, which for me is 50%. So she's upset, and again, make sure you put this on the head, connect it, hit F9, and suddenly when she shows her teeth, she's going to have this. We bring it in closer, make it come faster, and there we are. We can also you can duplicate it and put a few. I'm okay with one. And I was looking at her head movement. Okay, her head is okay. And she's just upset. We can even make her head move back and forth like we mentioned. But I'm not going to do that. So basically, we just have her looking angry suddenly. Shows her teeth, and there's the angry symbol. And then around 18 seconds, we're going to move on to the final expression, which I guess it's a happy ending. She's no longer angry. She's showing a big smile. So this is it for this lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to move on to our final expression. And then after that, we're going to move on to our second example where we can look at another technique. I'll see you guys there.